Up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 161st and River. And we have a lot more to discuss today than I thought we were going to have coming into it. So, about an hour and a half ago, 2.5 hours ago, was the non-tender deadline where MLB teams had to decide if they're going to tender players who are pre-arbitration eligible a contract or not. So the Yankees settled agreements with two players and non-tendered five. So we're going to go over that. We're going to start with the good news and then work our way to the bad. Clark Schmidt and the Yankees settled at 1 year, $4.5 million. Per Robert Murray of Fansided, he had it first, not Mark Feinsand, by the way. Schmidt will be coming off of Tommy John surgery this season. Don't know when he'll get started on the year, but 4.5 is he was projected for more, so he took a pay cut compared to what he was expected to get. But in my column when I spoke about the decisions, I mentioned that Schmidt, when healthy, is one of the more underrated and consistent pitchers in baseball. He normally, all of his starts are 5 or 6 innings, 3 runs or less, and he's consistent, but he's got a bit of an injury problem. That injury log gets longer and longer and longer every year. He hasn't pitched a full season since I think 2022, and or 23, 22 or 23 was the last time he pitched a full season, and he hasn't pitched a full season as a starter yet. So Schmidt has got some question marks, and he'll be starting the season probably not till August or September. So I didn't expect them to non-tender Clark Schmidt because that would be completely malpractice. But 4.9 million or 4.5 million is a little much for a player who is not going to be pitching for 85% of the season. But not my money. The next player, I'm kind of surprised that they settled this early with him, Oswaldo Cabrera. Oswaldo settled with what was projected 1.2 million for a year. So he's going to be a solid utility player. All indications point to that he'll be ready for spring training after the injury he sustained in Seattle in May, the ankle fracture. So Cabrera is a very, very good clubhouse presence for the Yankees. The guys really, really enjoy him being around. He's a high vibes guy. And you know what? They need guys with versatility and can move around and with speed, and Cabrera offers that. Cabrera offers speed on the base paths. He offers versatility. He's a switch hitter. He could play pretty much every position except for catcher. And Cabrera is a solid move. Now, some people were like, well, you have Caballero for that. Okay, well, you can never really have too many, right? Cabrera's not a full-time player, and we kind of saw that when he was at third base to start the year. He's not a full-time guy. But, here and there, he can be inserted into the lineup and do some really, really good things and be a really big contributor for this team. Let's get to the not so great news for these guys, but had to happen. The first player on this list, I'm going to go in order of the list on the screen. These are the players that have been non-tendered by the Yankees. Michael Arias was the first one. Michael Arias was acquired, I think, in free agency about a year ago. He pitched in the minor leagues to 2.73 ERA. But he's another health concerned player, and the Yankees need 40-man roster spots in order to do what they're going to do this offseason, right? Their 40-man roster right now is at 36, but they need roster spots in order to do what they want to do and achieve their goal. And unfortunately, Arias doesn't meet that. When they might bring someone in to fill Arias' spot on a non-roster invite in spring training, who might impress, kind of like Luke Weaver did. They signed Luke Weaver to a $1 million deal. Let's see. And Luke Weaver ended up closing games by the end of the year. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying something like it could happen. Mark Leiter Jr., this should not have surprised anybody. Mark Leiter was probably one of my least favorite pitchers to watch. He posted a 4.89 ERA across the season and a half he had. Every time the bullpen melted down or pretty damn close to it, it seemed like he was in the middle of those issues, and it was time. I mean, the Yankee bullpen needs to improve, and while Leiter had a lot of bad luck on his side, which I thought would have probably played more of a decision in this, it didn't. This is a good decision from the Yankees. Now, the next one, Scott F. Ross, who I don't even think I mentioned on here, which means I need to go back and edit it, which is fine. So Scott F. Ross was acquired by the Cubs, and in being acquired by Chicago, he was good in 2022 and just hasn't been healthy since. And when he's been up, he's been ineffective. So good decision there. Jake Cousins, kind of the same thing. He was acquired last March. The Yankees got him off the scrap heap from the Chicago White Sox, and he posted a 2.37 ERA in 38 innings pitched with the Yankees. Came to spring training with some injuries. There was hope he was going to start the year. He ended up having to get Tommy John, and instead the Yankees carrying a 40-man spot for Cousins on the roster all winter, they decided to part ways with him. Now, a Jake Cousins reunion would not surprise me if, he doesn't find a deal and they circle back kind of like they did with Loizaga. But I think the Yankees are looking to explore their options before they explore that one. And Ian Hamilton. Ian Hamilton was a fun story of 2.64 ERA in 2023. Since then, it's been downhill. He was optioned in July to the minors after being, the Slambio became a meatball, and he was just ineffective. And all 5 relievers on this list were just plain flat out ineffective. And overall, good moves from the Yankees today. They did more than I thought they would. And I knew they would do moves because Brian Cashman told us they were doing moves. And that's going to get me to my next segment. Brian Cashman yesterday did his annual sleep out at the Javits Center. Every year he does this really, really great thing where he sleeps out outside to raise money and awareness for the homelessness through Covenant House. So really, really great thing for that Cashman does. Really, really awesome. But when he was doing this, he took some time to speak with the media, and a lot of different things came up, among which was his off-season plans and free agency. And he had some interesting things to say, I thought, so we're going to go over some of them if my screen cooperates. As of right now, it's not. But the first thing he addressed was Trent Grisham coming back from accepting the qualifying offer, and he said it was a 50-50 shot, they thought. They also knew that he wouldn't take it. And Cashman actually spoke very, very highly of Grisham and spoke very highly of Grisham in terms of him um being in their plans. In general, the Yankees needed someone to be, I guess, another outfielder. So Cashman also had this other very interesting quote now that I have my column up. He had this interesting quote here. Um, Here. It gives us a little bit more going in. Now we have Dominguez and Jones competing for left field, and we have Grisham and we have Judge, and referred to Dominguez and Jones as kind of like the backup plan, as like if all else fails, we still have these two. And it was like, wait a minute, these are the guys you've been hyping up for years. What do you mean if all else fails? I found that very interesting and very, 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 very telling. This is another quote I liked. So he spoke to agent Casey Close yesterday as well as Scott Boras. He's got Kyle Tucker, which amongst others. So that's the nature of the beast in the winter, Cashman said. You play it out, you talk to different teams. I had several conversations with teams today trying to find a way either to make a trade or out a free agent, and we kept going and going and going. So pretty much talking about how he wants to make changes. We'd love for Bellinger to come back. I talked to Scott Boras yesterday about Bellinger and other free agents. He mentioned Schwarber, but that's more of a due diligence. This is the quote I was referring to about Grisham. It was a close call, but we expect that he comes back because we believe he's capable of replicating what he did this past year. I wasn't surprised he took it. It actually seemed like he was happy that he took it. And then I mentioned down here that Cashman continuing to have conversations with agents about Tucker and Bellinger signal that either Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones or both could be traded this offseason. One of them's gone. There's no way the Yankees enter the season with both of them on this roster. And if they do, it's malpractice. He does have concerns about rotation depth. On paper, we're going to be really good when healthy, which is right. But you know what? Cashman's been doing this a long time. He knows that likely not everybody's going to be healthy. They're going to start the season with Rodon and Cole recovering from surgeries, and they won't start till May. Because of that, there's some vulnerability at the front in the rotation, so he wants to fix that. He said he had conversations with Scott Boras about Tatsuya Imai, who of anyone on the market, either free agency or trade, Tatsuya Imai is my biggest target for so many reasons. Among that, I think he's going to be a stud. I think it's important for the Yankees to get back in the Japanese market. Ryan Garcia of Empire Sports Media got a quote from him on that. I didn't put it in here because I didn't feel I was at liberty to use that quote. I used only the ones that were published by either Yes Network or SNY. So you saw Cam Schlittler. Look, he also talked about the rotation depth in the minors. I mentioned in here, we kind of know they're not going to be ready to start the year, but he did mention them. He said, so you saw what Cam Schlittler did. We got other guys behind the scenes that are making a name for themselves. ERC, which is Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, but he dropped the Cruz. Henry Lelane, but I think he meant to say Carlos Lagranye because Henry Lelane was left unprotected in the Rule 5 draft the other day. It could have been. I don't know what Cashman meant to say. I can't speak on his behalf. But that was interesting as well. Cashman also mentioned the bullpen has holes in it. We lost Weaver and Devin Williams out of the bullpen to free agency, which I found interesting because as of yesterday morning, they were open to a reunion with Devin Williams, and apparently now they're not, which I wrote an opinion column, and I've been doing a couple more opinion pieces because if it's not my news, right? Like if it's not my news, unless it's like a major transaction, unless it's a rumor that I've heard and has been confirmed to me by a source or sources, I'm not going to sit here and write, I've heard this too. No, I'm going to say, well, the Athletic reported this. Here's my opinion on why it makes sense. Here's my opinion on why this shouldn't happen. And there's a reason on Subway Sports Network or on my page that I haven't mentioned Corey Seager yet. And it's because Corey Seager is not getting traded. Period, point blank. I checked in on it yesterday. Of course I did. Because I have to do my due diligence. And of course I check in and I get a no, Corey Seager is not getting traded. And it became more clear today that, the Rangers now have holes to fill on the roster. They're probably not trading Corey Seager after they non-tendered Adolis Garcia and Jonah Heim. So no, Corey Seager is probably not getting traded. Never say never, but I was told there's a very high likelihood Corey Seager will not be traded in the offseason. I was also told that Stephen Kwan is also not getting traded. For Salicata and WFAN, who keeps pushing the Yankees need to go get Stephen Kwan, number one, he's not as good as you think he is. Number two, he doesn't fit the roster the way others would. And number three, he is not being traded from Cleveland. They want to compete. They have other holes they want to fill, and Stephen Kwan they don't want to part with. It would also be above the means of the Yankees. Now, you could say like I keep saying, you never say never. I am saying there's a very high chance that Stephen Kwan is not traded this offseason unless they're blown away and the Yankees have outfield depth and will not be blowing away the Guardians. So I'll check in on things and before I post. I know Talking Yanks posted yesterday. I also know that Evan Grant article they posted, Evan Grant retweeted it after he originally did and said, I'm not saying Corey Seager is getting traded. I'm saying it would make sense for the Rangers to trade him. Like I wrote yesterday, it would make sense for the Yankees to reunite with Devin Williams. Not what was floated on YouTube yesterday that the Yankees offered him a 3-year, $45 million contract, which is inaccurate. They did not do that. Now, would it surprise me if Devin Williams was back? Yeah, it would. Because as of right now, Devin Williams' market is very, very large. There's 8 or 9 teams involved, and the Yankees are a second string dreamer on that one, right? Devin Williams might come back to the Yankees because he liked it here, but there's a very high likelihood that the San Francisco Giants, who are looking for a closer, are going to offer more money than the Yankees because they need a closer and it's a more appealing opportunity to him. Or the Miami Marlins, who are a smaller market and play inside because he was used to that in Milwaukee, right? There are other factors to the Devin Williams market that doesn't meet the eye. Let's get back to the Cashman quote. We lost Weaver and Devin Williams out of the bullpen to free agency. Those guys were important pieces to build bridges to our closer, Bednar. I wanna highlight this if my mouse works. I want to highlight this specifically. To get to our closer, Bednar, which tells me they are not going to be in on Edwin Diaz. They are not going to be in on Robert Suarez unless they agree to come here and be setup men. Diaz ain't coming here to be a setup man, and Robert Suarez will find an offer to be a closer somewhere. So get those guys, cross them off the list. All right. See how we're eliminating names? We just eliminated like 5 relievers. Now, they are actively looking for someone who could pitch in the final 6 outs in the game. If that person's a lefty, even better. I floated the idea of Jojo Romero. The St. Louis Cardinals are completely open for business right now. I think a trade for him makes sense. Brendan Donovan is in talks of being moved. He could be a great platoon fit for the Yankees if they were to platoon him in the infield or outfield with whomever. Like, let's say they platoon him with Grisham. I don't think they would do that, but he would be a great platoon piece for the Yankees. And I'd be very open to that. Maybe you make a bigger deal and it's Donovan and JoJo for, I don't have a package in front of me, but what I'm saying is that might be a bigger deal than it is. And that's something that's definitely there. That could definitely happen. Now, with that being said, I don't see the Yankees doing many trades yet until they have some other things figured out. Like, they're not right now going to trade Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez until they have either Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker. They're not going to do that. They're not going to trade for a starting pitcher or trade away a starting pitcher until Tatsuya Imai is decided. Now, if Imai or Imai, who Scott Boras already told Cashman he's open to coming here, there's no geographical restrictions. He's open to going wherever. The Yankees are really, really going to be aggressive in this one. They really want to get back in this market. This is the other quote. So for Yankee Twitter and John and Maspeth, who is a fan, so shout out to John Maspeth. The one thing it sounds like the Yankees are going to be aggressive this offseason. Cashman also confirmed that Grisham taking the qualifying offer will not handcuff the Yankees financially, adding, "I'm good at spending money." That was his quote. "I'm good at spending money." The Yankees have an opportunity to go all in this offseason. Now, I think, and they saved $6 million today, which is, no small thing. I don't want to sit here and say it is. $6 million is $6 million. That could be 2 relievers. It could be 1. $6 million is $6 million. That's the picture of Cashman. I'm not going to sit here and snooze that this is this is a kind of a bigger deal than it was. Now, Michael K thinks, and I'm talking Yanks just tweeted it out. I did post it when we should do this. I think it makes sense still. Michael K was talking about it, which I found really interesting because normally he doesn't get into the sports talk radio kind of fantasy. Like, he didn't get into the Corey Seager ideas. He shot it right down. Normally, Michael doesn't get into the sports talk radio things because Michael is more educated than that. And Michael K is very respected, and I respect him a lot. And I respect his opinions and everything. And normally, he's very above stuff like that. Him talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. today, I think, added another layer onto these rumors. Now, he is not likely to get traded. If you were to give me the 3 names that we were talking about before, Kwan, Seager, and Tatis, who's of the 3 are most likely to get traded? It is Tatis. That is because the Padres are looking to shed some money if they are to sell, and Tatis is probably the most movable contract they have. That is a fact. I'm not saying they're moving on from him. I'm just saying, period, point blank, if they were to move on from someone on that roster, it probably would be Fernando Tatis Jr. And I think the Yankees should absolutely be in on that. If AJ Preller calls up Brian Cashman and is like, "Hey, can I interest you?" Then I'd be like, "Here, have Lombard." I think I would send Lombard for him. The only 2 players I don't think I would send in that deal. The only 2, Ben Rice and Cam Schlittler. That's it. And I'd be a little hesitant on Elmer Rodriguez. I'd be a little hesitant on that one. Everyone else, goodbye. Have fun. Go have fun in Slam Diego. Have a blast. You want Volpe? Here's Volpe. That's it. Like that. And I would honestly, if I were the Yankees, think of that. Now, the Yankees can't really trade from their starting pitching, the big league starting pitching, until they know they're going to acquire another starter for the big leagues. But let's say they go out and acquire Tatsuya Imai. Then all of a sudden, Warren and or Heel become expendable. And this is what the offseason is. The Yankees are going to be active this offseason. This whole narrative of Hal Steinbrenner doesn't want to spend money, it all comes from a Joel Sherman report that was Hal Steinbrenner prefers to keep the payroll under 300. Hal Steinbrenner, right now, is saying, "Damn you, Brian Cashman, for offering the qualifying offer." Or because Cashman keeps saying the same damn quotes every 2 weeks when he's spoken. Or Hal Steinbrenner's pissed off and fed up because he hasn't spoken in a year. He's going to speak on Monday. He hasn't spoken since they lifted the beer policy, but he'll speak to reporters on Monday via Zoom. Hal Steinbrenner might be fed up with losing and fed up that his legacy and his family's legacy is getting crapped on constantly. As Case said today, I listened to the first part of his show. You don't think that they listen to the radio or look at social media? Of course they do. They know what we're saying. Hal Steinbrenner, believe it or not, is a better owner than people think, and a better owner than what people will give him credit for being. They went to extremes for Juan Soto. The fact of the matter is, Juan Soto didn't want to be a New York Yankee long term. It's hard to hear. It's been almost a year. I still can't accept it. But that's the fact. Juan Soto didn't want to be here. They went to extremes for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto didn't want to be a Yankee. He wanted to be a Dodger. Hiroki Sasaki, same thing. He wanted to be a Dodger. Now, there are other examples. Manny Machado, Corey Seager, who's hurt all the time, so that might be a save. Bryce Harper, who's hurt a lot. Who was the first one? Manny Machado, I don't know about his injury history. He also has an attitude issue, like a big attitude issue. And that might be something the Yankees were looking at with him, is his attitude problems. That wouldn't surprise me. And there are some other ones over the time. Yeah, you're not going to win on every one. It's impossible to. But most of the time, if they want someone, in 2019 into 2020, not that long ago, Garrett Cole was a free agent. The Yankees weren't leaving that offseason without getting Garrett Cole done. Did they want to go to the lengths they went to? No. Did they? Yes. Same with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge had 1 foot out the door going to San Francisco. 1 foot out the damn door. Until John Heyman tweeted out, Arson Judge appears headed to Giants. And it sent shockwaves through the Yankees of, oh shit, there's a reality where Aaron Judge might be a San Francisco Giant. We can't have that happen. So Hal Steinbrenner called him up and got a deal done. Hal Steinbrenner will spend money. He's not going to spend money on something he doesn't see to be a good investment. That's the difference. He doesn't want to spend like drunken sailors. That's the difference. He doesn't want to be his dad, is what it comes down to. And fine. Do I love that they don't spend money like they used to? No. I think they should get everybody. With that being said, if they're going to blow past the luxury tax, which it seems like they're going to do the way they're talking is we need relief pitching, we need at least one outfielder, we need starting pitching, we need this, and this, and not to mention we need a bench. They're blowing past the CBT. The competitive balance tax. They're blowing right past it. They were at what, 318 this year? They're going to blow right past that one. They're blowing past 307. And I wrote the other day, if you're $1 over, be 40 million over. Who the hell cares at that point? You're already paying a dollar for dollar to these bull market teams, which is bull. But you know what? This is the year to blow past it before the penalties might become more severe, or a salary cap might be in place, and you might be able to get around it. This is the year to spend. If there's ever a time to spend, time's now. Another thing to keep an eye on. I was talking to some people today. Phil Maton, he's a name to keep an eye on in terms of relief pitching. Wouldn't be my favorite option, but a crafty option. He's one to keep an eye on. I believe he might have closed he closed for a bit. He was on the Cardinals this year, I think. I believe he closed for a bit with one of the teams, or I'm mixing him up. I can just look it up. But Phil Maton was a name to watch. I believe he closed with the Diamondbacks. Another name to watch. This one's a little less confirmed on this. Yeah. Wait, no. He was on the 2024 Mets. Oh, yeah, he was on the Rangers And he was on the Cardinals. I was right. He posted a 2.79 ERA this year. So he's definitely an option to watch. He was a mess with the Mets, though. I do remember that. In 63 games, 61 and a third innings. His whip was 1.06. That's pretty damn good. He is a righty. He had 5 saves this year, 81 strikeouts and 61 and a third innings. That's Phil Maton is a name to keep an eye on. I believe he's a free agent. Let me go to his transactions. Yep, he is a free agent. Phil Maton's a name to keep an eye on. Another one to keep an eye on. The Yankees will probably be in the market for a backup catcher. Joey Bart is a name to keep an eye on. He was tendered a contract today, even though the Pirates tried desperately to see what they could do. But Joey Bart is an option. The Yankees could trade for him. If it would probably be a minor trade with the Pirates, and Brian Cashman and Ben Sherrington have an extensive history of trades in their times in their positions. Joey Bart mashes lefties and is a very good option as a backup catcher to Austin Wells. That's another name to watch. And over the next few weeks, we'll be talking more. Now, if anything breaks over the weekend, I'll come on and do a show. If not, I will see everyone Monday after Hal speaks. Have a great weekend. Go Yankees.